We're back with Sean Jordan, CEO of StrataPress, to talk about everyone's favorite subject, Form Bs.
Form Bs.
Well, not everybody's favorite, but let's explain what this is, Sean, for those that aren't living in our world of Strata.
Yeah, Form Bs. Okay, so this is something that I wrote a blog post about last week, and it was coming up a lot. I did get phone calls, mostly from some realtors who aren't in the normal position of selling a condo, aren't familiar with a Form B or a Form F, so they ask about it. But also, Strata owners will call because they need a Form B for refinancing. The bank requires some document, and they're like, "I don't even know what this is." So, kind of spelled it out, put it all together. It's a simple document, but at the same time, it covers a lot of information. And when you're receiving the Form B, it's giving you information about the property. If you're in a position of buying a property and making an offer, it can really highlight some hidden costs for you. And if you're an owner, a strata owner, the Form B for the bank to do refinancing gives them a snapshot of like what your expenses are, because it includes your monthly strata fees, upcoming assessments or other costs that get outlined in the Form B are important for the bank to know, because they want to know what's the expenses that are coming across this strata owner's desk. So that's what it is. I wrote this out. I'm kind of winging it there. At first, here you go. The Strata Press thing.
But yes, let's talk about StrataPress. And the reason that you and I see so many of these Form Bs is that you are in the position of helping stratas,
Yes,
self-managed and managed, uh, manage their documents and deal with realtors and orders for those documents, which includes often a Form B and or Form F.
that's right. So Strata Press was built to solve real compliance issues under the BC Strata Property Act and reduce friction around obtaining a Form B and a Form F and submitting a request for those from a property management company. So that's how we started document management, document selling documents, providing documents to realtors, and over the years, our vision's expanded. Now we're developing AI powered tools for document management, a vendor marketplace we're working on, and we have a whole solution for self-managed stratas to help them with managing the property and getting documents to those who require them and request them. So we're here to simplify things. That's what StrataPress is all about. So that's what we started back in 2017 with a real effort. So the Form B, like I was just saying, gets requested a lot. It's one of the biggest selling things. One of the main purposes of StrataPress is so a realtor can request a Form B um, from a from a strata corporation primarily, but it's usually managed and completed by the property management company. So Form B is the official information certificate. That's what they're called, information certificates. Under Section 59 of the Strata Property Act, it standardizes disclosure document issues issued by strata corporations. So um, making sure you receive your depreciation report, your insurance, your bylaws, your budget, and it's all designed to help buyers and sellers and lenders to assess what the risk is and the obligations of owning that strata lot. So it reveals, fees and levies, any legal issues that might be pending. It outlines amenities like your parking, what parking spot belongs to your strata lot, which storage unit belongs to your strata lot. So it's got really good information. It covers 16 main items, A through P. Um, and when you look at a Form B, that's basically what you're looking at. First of all, on the developing the Form B or creating a Form B certificate, the property manager is basically just answering questions about the strata lot, 16 different questions, and then including additional documentation that needs to be reviewed by the realtor and the potential buyer. So you don't want to skip it. It's part of a critical due diligence when you're looking at purchasing a strata lot in a hot market, real estate market. People might skip it because it does take up to a week to get it. So if you don't have it on hand ahead of time, getting one could take up to a week, or you could pay hundreds of dollars in rush fees just to get it in 24 hours. Very rarely would anybody offer a same day service on that. So sometimes people might just skip it. Might not be a, oh, I'm not putting that in the offer, reviewing the Form B, which could be a bad mistake because it
Wow.
can, yeah,
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
pretty critical information in there.
that's right. And for what you're getting, it's $35 plus tax. It's got a 5 business day turnaround. They have to get it to you within a week, as it says in the Strata Property Act. We had a discussion last week about that. Is what is a week? Is that
Yeah.
Saturday to Saturday? Well, property managers aren't open on Saturdays, so you can't really make a request on a Saturday. We're online and we're virtual, so you can actually order this document anytime, 24/7. But we kind of have to follow the bricks and mortar business of a property manager. They're not open on weekends typically.
One
And
big
so
advantage of using StrataPress, if I can interject, Sean, is that you get the rest of the documents in the order immediately. And
yeah,
then the Form B, which has information that must be completed in a current manner by the property manager and Strata Council, comes later. So
yeah,
you may have to wait through the other guys for the full 7 days, or if you've paid a rush fee less. But with StrataPress, you order on a Saturday, you get everything on that very day, that very
yeah,
minute when you check out, with the Form B to follow.
yeah. And the Form B will come. You get everything you download right away. Exactly. And but that Form B certificate has to be, information has to be current. It has to come from the information that they have on hand today.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, that information can change tomorrow because you don't know when the last meeting was, for instance, maybe a council meeting, maybe an AGM. You'd have to look at all the minutes and things like that. But timing's a lot of this because you purchase the Form B before listing a property and you share that information with other realtors and people might be making offers. And but that information can change. So a lot of people are like, kind of 30 days is how long they last. But in reality, I mean, as soon as it's completed, the information can change tomorrow. So
Absolutely. We're very used to seeing Form Bs at Eli Report. We've looked at tens of thousands of them and the information certificate equivalents from other jurisdictions. And sometimes CRF balance is one of the line items we'll talk about later. Sometimes it's, today's date, and sometimes it might be, well, today is March 2nd. It might say January 31st. It might say
yeah,
February 28th. You never know. So the dates matter, and obviously the information that's available will also evolve.
yes. And that even includes even the amount of the condo fees or the strata fees per month.
Yes.
From the time you get your Form B initially delivered until you sell a unit, that monthly strata fee might have been voted on a few weeks ago and is implemented in the time between you obtaining the Form B and selling that unit. So now the strata fees are higher and you don't know it. So that's the thing. It can outline, if your building's sitting on a financial time bomb, can expose lawsuits you didn't know about, and it can tell you if your $600 a month strata fee is about to jump. And again, most buyers seem to skim over it. They don't fully understand what they're looking at. So that's why we're here today to kind of walk through everything, what a Form B, what it has to be in it, what the attachments means, what your rights and responsibilities, things like that.
Perfect. So
So
we've covered a bit of what is the Form B. It's this
yeah,
mandated disclosure. And you've also mentioned a couple of the different parties that want to take a look at it.
yeah. So again, yeah, it's a legal snapshot of the property, and who's going to need it? Well, the realtors for selling a unit, lawyers and notaries don't typically order a Form B, but they can, of course, if they're taking care of a sale for you, or usually in the conveyancing, the lawyers and notaries are looking for a Form F, but they can also buy those. And mortgage brokers, if you're a strata owner and you're looking to refinance your unit, they're going to ask you for a Form B as well. Like I said, it gives them, and we'll go over that in a minute. Gives them a financial snapshot as well. So it helps them determine, okay, if your condo fees are $600 and your mortgage is, $1,500 or maybe $2,000, like they determine based on that information, like, can you afford your monthly fees and your mortgage all at the same time? So
Yeah.
the banks, so a strata owner is going to want to get those for a mortgage broker as well.
It's interesting. You mentioned earlier the $35 cost.
Yeah.
And when you think that this is a form that needs to be filled, taking a human's time and effort, it really doesn't equate to the cost of that form, especially when you consider that the Strata Corporation and the property manager could be on the hook if they put something
Yeah.
in error.
Yeah.
And there has been talk about the Form B getting repriced significantly to a much higher figure. The equivalent document in Ontario, status certificate, included several attachments and was a fixed price of $100. It has been that way for 25 years. Um, so a similar duration that we've had the Form B priced at 35. And it's clear that something should change. But on the flip side, we pay 25 cents a page in British Columbia as if somehow there's some printing cost and it's available digitally instantly. There should probably be some harmonization of what it costs to get the condo documents, whether they be a strata in BC or a condominium corporation or association in another jurisdiction, for the form, the information certificate, and its attachments. And I don't know what that number is, Sean. Do you have a sense of what the normal order is? My gut says it's in the $200 to $300 per package range.
Yeah.
If you're not paying rush fees, is that fair?
Yeah, that is, and that's kind of the trade-off. There's a bit of trade-off on pricing with these documents because although the physical cost of like, here's your piece of paper, should that cost 25 cents, even though now it's delivered electronically, there's still the creation of those documents and the management of those documents and the organization and distribution of those documents.
Hmm.
So it is a task of the property manager, but they keep their fees down for the strata owners by supplementing revenue through things like this document sales.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think the last time anybody really took a serious charge at changing the pricing from $35 was to more like $350. Doesn't mean that it takes that much time to actually produce a certificate because they are, spending a bit of time to get it. I think we worked out on average before our platform was available to produce a Form B certificate and fulfill a request for an order took anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes of an administrator's time. Go get the documents, photocopy them, put them all together, and then get them in the hands of the person requesting them. So they don't cover their costs at all. They'd be lucky even with our platform to cover their costs. So 2019 was the last time they took a serious run at it, and I think basically property manager was saying $350 to accommodate more for the legal side, the risk for them. Because if there's one bit of information that's not correct on that Form B certificate, they get sued. And that can be an honest mistake. It can be something like, here's your parking spot. But on their documentation, that strata owner may have leased that parking spot from the strata corporation and they owned one and leased one. And somehow that information, when it got transferred from one program to another to the Form B, they put that parking spot as being owned by the strata owner, not realizing actually it's just being leased. So the owner bought the unit, and then they find out that their $100,000 parking space doesn't come with the unit, that it was a mistake on the Form B. So to protect yourself, even if you're not in the wrong, it's like a $7,000 to $10,000 legal bill for the property manager to protect yourself for producing a $35 document. So where's the trade-off? Does the $35 mean you don't spend enough time and due diligence and care producing the document as you would a $350 document? But I think it's more to balance out those occasions where misinformation is on the certificate.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously a tricky thing. You do have to understand as a strata owner that your fees are sort of subsidized by these document package sales.
Yeah.
And if that revenue didn't exist for the management firm, they would charge more per month. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. But on the other side, you've got the buyers and the realtors who have to pay for these documents, who are screaming that it already costs too much. And let's get rid of trying to fiddle with the various prices of the components and come up with some sort of fair structure. Okay, a document package in any province costs X, whether it be $250 or $300. I know Acmo in Ontario was asking for $500, but they don't even provide all of the documents. You don't get meeting minutes. You don't get engineering studies, including their equivalent of our depreciation report in full. You just get a summary. So, I mean, I think that the provinces should come together and come up with what the magic number is. It feels like that number should be in the ballpark of $250 to $300, not 100, not 500, and certainly dispense with this whole price per page and just make it the
Yeah,
price for the package.
that's
And
right.
that package would by default include what is expected in a transaction of this nature. In BC, that's 2 years of meeting minutes. In Alberta,
Right.
it's currently 1. I think it should be 2. In Ontario, it's 0. It should be 2. So, let's get to that place. I know we're not here to talk about it, but I wanted to bring it up because it is relevant, and everyone has their stake in what this package should cost. Somebody's got to bring it all together.
Yeah. It'll come
It's
up later
hopefully
here. There is additional documents that are included with a Form B request that are required by the Strata Property Act. And those documents can add a significant amount to the cost of getting a Form B. I'll
Mhm.
explain that a little more next slide.
Thanks.
So yeah, what do you got? Who can request one? So typically requested by a realtor when somebody's considering buying a strata lot, and an owner can request one as well. Um, who else in here? So there we go. Buying and selling, you'll need it for that. Refinancing, mortgage renewals, estate transfers, maybe a Form F is included with that. Foreclosure proceedings, court order sales. This is all just information that has to be presented about this specific strata unit because you have your entire building and that has its expenses, but your unit has specific strata fees. And there might be a special assessment, and other costs, expenses that you have to be aware of. Disclosure statements, things like that. So, in practical terms, let's see. There's what I was going to tell you about a bank requesting a Form B information certificate. The bank wants to know if that the unit is not in arrears, that there's no large approved levies about to hit, that the building's financially stable, and there's no undisclosed legal problems. And it also confirms their monthly fees and might identify any unpaid strata fees or unpaid special levies or any judgments or liens, that type of thing. So this is what you need to know. I mean, if your bank wants to know if there's an upcoming uh, remediation levy, that's going to cost each unit $40,000. So that's going to be in the Form B. So if you don't know this stuff and you go and buy a condo, it's like not getting an inspection. This is part of the inspection. You're looking at the paperwork essentially of a strata corporation to make sure everything is that you understand fully what the financial obligations are for this unit going into the future.
To be
So
clear, the
yeah, on a new
only
unit, not
special
as
levy
much.
that yeah, the only special levy that's disclosed in this is one that's approved. So
Yeah,
the ones that are likely to occur in the future are not in a Form B. Only those that have been approved by the Strata Council on behalf of the owners at a meeting, AGM or SGM, will be listed in the Form B.
yeah,
And well, that's why Eli Report does a special levy forecast. We want to tell you what's going to happen beyond what's been approved because that horizon is short. And your building, of course, has a 30-year forecast prepared at any depreciation report update.
there you go.
You've noted here below that a Form B is not a Form F. The Form F is more specifically ordered by a lawyer or a notary at the time of a transaction closing to get a snapshot of any fees that are payable or owing by a seller right to that date. Is that
That's
correct,
right.
Sean?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. And I did the last slide about the Form F, Form B difference. There
Yeah.
is a difference, but they do get interchanged or I know realtors when they come and order a Form B, if they're not familiar with the Form B, they'll order a Form F too. We actually have a confirmation. It's like, do you really need this? Do you know what it's for? Because you shouldn't be
Right.
buying this if you don't need it. Form F's only $15 instead of 35. But the last slide we have is it distinguishes the difference between the two,
Wonderful.
but they're both important. So 7-day rule. So yeah, when you request a Form B, the Strata Property Act makes it clear that they have 1 week to provide you with your certificate. It's $35. They can charge anywhere between, I don't know, $50 and $400 for a 24-hour turnaround on that. There's no limit set on the actual rush fees, so they can charge whatever they like there. So time starts payment received, at least through StrataPress. Payments are all done up front. And I don't think anybody else would respond to a request for a document or a Form F certificate or a Form B without being paid, and because they'll do the work and then somebody will cancel things. And that's actually one of the big reasons, StrataPress has been popular in helping with the document request process, because we take payment for the property managers up front, whereas it used to be 30% of the requests they received would get canceled after, or never picked up or never paid. 30% of
Wow.
all the requests they managed, nobody would come and pay for them. Nobody came and picked up the documents. So they were losing money on this stuff as well. So 7 days. There can be penalties, but if you try looking like there's no explicit fine for failing to produce a Form B. Um, so it's like a parking ticket. It's like, here's your ticket, here's your fine. They gotta chase after you to get you to pay that ticket. But what are they gonna do if you don't pay the ticket? I mean,
Tricky question. But I mean, I think the bottom line for anybody that is going to need these documents, don't wait, because it will
no,
take 7 days unless you want to pay a rush fee, and that fee can be very high. So if you know you need it, you're going to have a listing, order the documents. You may or may not need to update the Form B uh, before closing, but that is a relatively minor cost in the scheme of your transaction.
right.
The rush fee is very painful, and you won't have that clarity upfront.
That's right. And also, so there might be no penalty for not a non-issuance, but if there's deliberate dishonesty and false statements in the certificate, then those are more serious. They could be liable. There can be convictions, fines up to $2,000, imprisonment up to 6 months, or both for falsifying a Form B. So it's a criminal matter to put false information on Form B, which is important for self-managed strategists to understand, because they're volunteers, and you can't just make up information, or you can't provide falsified information on a Form B
Yeah, it,
certificate.
it would be fraud. So
It
that's
would be fun.
you
It'd
say
be a
that.
terrible thing to do. Um, how to read a Form B? Okay, so on here we can actually, I don't know, we've got a Form B certificate.
Yeah,
Let's take a
let's
look
do
at it.
it. Let's take a look at
We provide a link.
Form B.
You can download this. This is a
Zoom
blank one, but you can see from this form, it is just a series of questions that have to be answered. So, the owner of the strata plan, you put in the strata plan. Um, how much is it for their monthly strata fees? So you fill in that information. So really, it's just straightforward. Just, on StrataPress, we have this form online. So you're just filling out this information online. For a self-managed strata, it requires 2 signatures. So in our system, you sign off as somebody who fills in the information, then you send it to another council member for review. They sign off on it. So to be compliant, you have to have 2 signatures from council members. You have to include the depreciation report, which is a document that could cost anywhere from $10 to even 100, depending on how many pages. Your bylaws and rules, your insurance summary, and your budget. Those are all required to be provided with the Form B now. So within there, you'll find out information about Contingency Reserve Fund. So this might say the Form B only shows 12,000 in reserve fund, but there's an upcoming elevator repair that's going to be 180,000. So now you're like, okay, well, you got $12,000 in your contingency reserve fund, and you got an upcoming repair for your elevator of 180,000. So you're going to be hit with some special levies, things like that. It's going to tell you if there's special levies. It's going to tell you if there's been any litigation. Form B will, and it has to disclose whether the Strata Corporation is party to any court proceedings or arbitration or tribunal proceedings, ongoing litigation. All that stuff can be really expensive, so it has to outline that. Your insurance deductibles. Some stratas have policies have extremely high deductibles, sometimes as much as $100,000 for something like water damage. So if a leak originates in your unit, you could be on the hook for that amount. So this stuff is all in the Form B and in the documents that are included. So your insurance, Your bylaws and rules will be included, so you have to look through that. And any special litigation or any obligations that the current strata owner has to pay to the strata corporation, that information has to be disclosed as well. So
Excellent.
on that form, yeah, we'll put a link to download it. And this is a blank one, but you can see it includes parking stalls, identifies your parking stalls that come with the strata, if it's common property or limited common property, and same with your storage units, things like that. Which can
Yeah.
make, it can be kind of cool, because I know when I bought a place and I had 2 parking spots, and it identifies the parking spots, so you can go down to the parkade and look like, where are my parking spots? And that's kind of nice, because my 2 parking spots were right next to the elevator. I was like, that was brilliant. So just for fun, you
Everybody's got their own personal taste on everything, and that
yeah,
includes parking spots and stalls. Some people wanna be close to the elevator, other people don't want people walking by and
buy their
dragging
car.
things.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
father would want the farthest corner beside a pillar so that he wouldn't get his car scratched. It is a
Yeah,
little unique, everyone's, perspectives, but this will tell you exactly what you're entitled to and whether it's truly yours or whether it is potentially something that is leased or property that is assigned.
that's right.
And some stratas do have assigned spots, and those assignments can be changed. And again, if it means a lot to you, knowing what that is matters. So read your Form B.
Yeah. And it does matter too, to make sure there's no conflicting information, like what's in your AGM minutes as far as budgets being approved and your strata fees compared to what's in the Form B. So there is, the one thing you got to consider is that there's people taking information from one program and putting it into a Form B. That's where the biggest chance of a mistake being made is transferring information manually from one program to something else. And they might get the amounts wrong. They might have numbers reversed and things like this. So you got to look at it closely and double check everything.
I feel that one day StrataPress will be making this as streamlined as possible
Oh,
for
our goal, I didn't
strata,
even mention this. Our goal
right?
has always been to create a one-click Form B. And the only way we can't do that yet is because we don't have financial platforms like an accounting system for property managers built into our platform. So that information has to come from somewhere else. But all the other information about every single unit is in StrataPress, like what parking lot units are assigned to it, which storage units are assigned to the unit, the strata fees, everything else. It's all in one program. If it's all centralized, you can just pull that information up. If you consider that information to be correct, which you should, if it's your only source, then the information on the Form B will be correct. And there's no chance of like making mistakes taking information from one program and putting it into a certificate. A lot of property managers are only using a template, could be a Word template, could be a Excel sheet to make Form Bs. And all they're doing is just deleting information, refilling the information in. And they have to check a program over here. And some companies use up to like 9 different platforms, from your CRM to your accounting to your communications. And all that information is contained in all these different programs, have to end up in this Form B. So I was like, if you just centralize this, it'd be more accurate, it'd be a way more confidence. You can get the documents quicker. It wouldn't be, much of an effort. So that's kind of
Great.
what we're looking at. So in this case, yeah, checklist for compliance. Want to make sure all that's there. Mistakes, yeah, people will call if their deals are collapsing because they don't have a Form B in time. Plan ahead, especially in real estate. Should know, and a lot of people don't. They don't know that it takes up to 5 days to get 5 business days to get a Form B or a Form F. So, and the other two things important about this compliance for strata councils: 2 signatures if you're a self-managed strata, and if you self-managed don't typically have a section property, but if your condo is in a section strata, you may be required to get 2 Form B certificates. Your realtor will for sure. They need one for the main strata corporation and they need one for this section. So you're going to get 2 Form B certificates in the case of a section property. That makes sense. I won't get into what section properties are, but typically it's like you got
Yeah,
commercial, and then you got residential above it. That's usually a section property. And there's different activities happening within a commercial strata as there is in a residential, but they might share some amenities. So there might be some crossover in costs. So you're responsible for some fees for the section and some for the main corporation. That all has to
I'm
be
smiling
identified.
because it can be ugly. It
Again,
it really can, and we don't need to get into the nuts and bolts of all of that, but you can see buildings that have a strata corporation section, a joint section, a residential section, a commercial section. I have even seen, unique ones like small mansions as a section. There can be some quite exotic plans out there, but the point, of course, is that you get a picture of the corporation,
yeah,
and ultimately that may have some elements.
that's right. Required documents. So do this real quick. This is what's going to be included or what you should ask for in a Form B. The Strata Corporation rules. Those are the day-to-day behaviors of the buildings, move-in procedures, amenity bookings, noise policies, all the rules you got to follow while being in the, living in that strata. The current budget shows how the strata plans to spend money in the current financial years. Current financial year, you want the most recent depreciation report. This is a critical document, provides a 20 to 30-year forecast of the building's major components like roof, plumbing, elevators, and
Mhm.
their remaining useful life. So it helps the strata project costs and expenses going off into the future. So you can start collecting money instead of collecting it all when it's required. You just bank it as time goes on, and then you have money in the bank when these things need to be maintained. A summary of the insurance, Strata Corporation's insurance. So you would have to know the policy details, including what your coverage limits is and things like that, what your deductible amounts are, and now what's being required is the electrical planning report. So I haven't seen a lot of that yet, but it's starting to happen now, where reports are actually being created and distributed with Form B requests. So this started in December 2023. The electrical planning reports are required to be included with a Form B request. And they make this mandatory as a Form B request because this is the point where it's like, this is when you're going to be requesting a document that's mandatory. So we need to give you all those other critical documents at the same time. Not
Just
every,
want to point out for insurance that you can have up to 3 policies. The Strata Corporation's policy, which covers the common property, your owner's policy for your unit and any leaks or issues that originate within your unit, and then you may, if you're renting it out, have a tenant, and they would need their own policy. So
right.
insurance in strata is a complicated thing.
Yeah. And those are all being bundled with, somebody who's interested in purchasing a property, a strata lot. They're going to want to know that information. So these are required now.
Perfect.
Again, I don't think that, if they aren't issued with the Form B, I don't think there's any major penalties, but I think it's the due diligence, of a good realtor is going to say, well, we need to look at your insurance. We need to look at your budget. We need to go over these things, get an Eli report, get a summary, understand what you're getting into here. That's what the whole point of it is. Form B for Form F. Okay, so Form B, as you see, monthly strata fees, special levies, any arrears, it's a financial picture. The Form F comes down to just being a declaration, a statement. So this is required at the time the property is being transferred on title. So now everything, all the paperwork, all the deals done. So this statement just says to the person doing the conveyancing that this person who's selling the unit either owes money or they don't. And if they do owe money, arrangements have been made to collect that payment. And that could be in the form of an undertaking letter, money's in trust somewhere, you have a check in hand, those type of things. So one is like just outlining here's all your expenses and things to consider. And the Form F is just for, okay, everything's taken care of on the purchasing side. Now we're just declaring that the current owner doesn't owe any money to the Strata Corporation. Because if you don't have a Form F and that Strata owner left owing $1,000 to the Strata Corporation, then the new owner is responsible for that $1,000. So the Form F just is a declaration saying nobody owes any money, and if they do owe money, we have a note over here or a letter taking responsibility for it. So that's what the difference is. And that's why I think it was important just to point out because, like I said, realtors require the Form B, not a Form F. And lawyers and notaries require Form F more often, not a Form B. Form F is really on the title certificate transfer of the property. So
Perfect. Thank you
both
for clarifying.
required. In the end, both are required, but they're required by different people for different reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there we go. Well, we go, you can go to stratapress.com, click on the link that says insights. You can look at the blog post. There's one there. It's a complete guide to Form Bs in British Columbia. And it's got a lot more detail. It breaks down every single question and why that information is required, and just provides a lot of detail of the ins and outs of a Form B.
Perfect. We'll put a link to that down below if you're interested in checking out the StrataPress site or getting a demo for your community. Sean would be delighted to do that. You manage a lot of stratas today and are growing, including many that are self-managed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
streamline processes for them. I'm excited for when those Form Bs
And
are
just
more.
throw this in there for the self-managed
Mhm.
stratas. Our Form B generator is compliant. You have to use the online form when somebody requests a document from your strata corporation. It requires 2 signatures and all your documents to be included before you can release the order. So you won't get in any trouble if you're using a completing a Form B certificate on StrataPress. It's all compliant.
Amazing.
Yeah. There
Well,
we go.
Sean, thank you for that. We'll see you next month. Might have to adjust dates to accommodate
Oh,
your
yes.
travel, but we will definitely get back on another lesson. But I hope you've all enjoyed this one on Form Bs.
There you go.
Thanks again for joining us.